Welcome to the table. We're back with another video featuring two games we've already played on the channel for you guys. And we've had decent experiences with both of these. They're both made by the same company, and we're going to compare them. And we're going to let you know one of three things, whether or not you need either of them, whether or not you need only one of them, or whether or not you need both of them.
Yeah.
And
well,
we're gonna
depends on how big your shelf is.
Yeah, that does, and your wallet. You know,
True, that's true too.
Pocketbook, to quote
That's true too.
Dexter from Star Wars: Attack of the Clones. You're not a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, you're the only one that's gotten that.
You know who Dexter is? He's the greasy boy that Obi-Wan goes in. Oh, okay, it's whatever. You know.
Even if you do know, just tell him you don't.
Anyway, I'm the reason we're doing this video. Because I love both
You're
of
the
these.
reason we're all here, to be honest.
Let's be honest.
Everyone watching.
Max
us
and Emily
here.
definitely wouldn't be hanging out if it wasn't for me.
I don't know.
Maybe. We hang out all the time. You just didn't know.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. We were trying to keep that a little on the DL for a while.
What you guys have a different YouTube channel? What content do you guys create?
Knitting. And dogs.
Anyway. I don't know how to do segues at all.
You make a cut in post.
Yeah,
and
that's
call
exactly
a
what
day.
it is. I've played Azul far longer, but Beez is one that's made its way into my collection in the last
Very
few
recently,
months.
yeah.
I think I got it for Christmas, and we've played it quite a few times.
I know you got it for Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. And okay,
You're welcome. Yeah.
Max got it for me, and I immediately fell in love with the look of the game. I immediately thought, even just the cover, you're drawn to it just like you are with Azul. But in terms of aesthetics, what do you guys think about the two games, and which would you give maybe the edge to in terms of how it looks?
So I think that as a sucker for components and what's the word I'm thinking? Components and usability.
Okay.
I give the edge to Beez with the caveat that I think if they made Azul again, like a new version, it would have these double and triple, maybe not triple, but it would have the double layer, dual layer cardboard trays. Okay. And if Azul had the dual layer player boards, Azul would take the cake for me. Okay. I do love the look of Beez, but just the chonky tiles, bro. That means a lot to me.
Forgetting components though, with these two things, what about just the art and the theme of both of these?
The theme of Beez is more.
It draws you more.
To me.
Emily, what about you? I know as a person who's been to Europe, what do you think between the two?
I don't know. I think they're really pretty. I think Beez is really beautiful with the flowers and stuff. But personally, I like Azul. I'm a Spanish teacher, and this reminds me of the azulejos and the tiles. I just think it's pretty.
They're literally everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've watched countless documentaries because I'm married to a Spanish teacher. And
I'm not a Spanish teacher.
They're not married, Max. Quit pushing this. And they're everywhere in the backgrounds and everything. So I would love to actually get an opinion if you're a person who lives in Spain, if this draws you in more, or if this is just
I've seen it already.
I've seen it so much, whereas Beez, maybe they're going extinct.
Unique.
You probably don't see them very often.
I hope not.
I really hope not too. But
what do you think?
I personally am more drawn to the Beez, even though thematically, I think both these games are some of my favorites. I love the colors. I love I like the Spanish and Portuguese art, and I also love the flower beds and the little bees flying around. The hive
is the cool part. Yeah. I mean, it's all cool, but the hive is great.
Absolutely. All right, so 2-1 with theme. What about the gameplay? What about how it plays, how you score points? Which game do you find yourself more drawn to? Let's start with Emily this time.
I really like both, but I'm gonna go with Azul.
All right. Any reason why? Any other than we've played this one maybe 50, 60 times? What do you like about it maybe more?
I think this one is. I don't know. I think this one's maybe just a little bit simpler and not as complex to understand when I'm thinking of how I'm gonna get points. Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know
totally.
if that makes sense.
Accessibility is a big thing with Azul compared to Beez.
Yeah.
I will give it to Azul as well. Not for this just yet. I'm not going to give away my gameplay, but accessibility, absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you, Max?
I really like both. I think that you hit the nail on the head right there. That if you're playing with your family and people that aren't really they don't care about there being too much of a puzzle, they just kind of want to have fun at a table, Azul is a far more accessible and just like, get it to the table, everybody gets it, you put the tiles on the board, you got it. This is a much more, it's not complex, but it's much more of a spatial puzzle that is difficult for me to, at least, because I can't visualize, to plan out ahead of time and think things through of I need to go here and then I go there. Whereas with Azul, it's much easier to kind of plan out your moves ahead of time.
Yeah.
I think they're both really fun. If you're looking for a more puzzly game, I think that this will probably have longer legs and will probably give you more what you are looking for, whereas Azul is a simpler game that still gives it to you, but is a much more relaxing, less thinky time.
Okay. I will say, in terms of gameplay, Azul is clearly more accessible. It's easier to pull out. It's easier to teach. Beez, I mean, it doesn't take a long time to teach.
No, it's not hard.
But it does maybe take at least one game to fully understand the gravity of what you're doing and how you move around. And like, you multiple times, even in the video, was like, maybe you didn't do it in the video, but you definitely did it during warm-up, where you're just like, I can't visualize what I need to do to get to this space. And
I was saying I need like a small board. Like, give me another whole board where I can move tiny bees around to try and like actually see what's happening.
You know what would be great?
Then
if it was like the chess.com app.
Yeah.
Where like you move and you can
analysis.
See. Yeah. You know exactly where you're going.
That is it.
Yeah. I do, however, give Beez the slight edge in gameplay, mainly because I love the secret objective and the public objective cards. I think, actually, I'm not gonna go too much into that. I'm gonna save one more thought about that specifically. But I do think that there's just more complexity that I gravitate more towards Beez. Now that might not be for everyone. I certainly think that Azul will have the broader appeal. Because it is simpler, it's you're all going for the exact same strategies, which is only like one or two very specific ones. Whereas Beez, there's so much to think about, and you might be doing something completely different than I'm doing, and we might not even really interact, which is also maybe an issue that you could take away from Beez. But yeah, I give slight edge to Beez. And then before we talk about like overall, I do want to ask one more thing, which is longevity. How long do you think that these games will last in a collection? How long do you think that how many times do you think that they would get brought to the table, and which one will find its way to a table more so for the average person than the other? This ties into the accessibility as well. So Max, you want to go on that?
That's a tough question to answer. I think that I'm trying to say something without also saying other things to hold on to a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that Beez is there's more variance that I imagine being the case. At least I've played 36 games of Azul. I've played 2 games of Beez, so I can't say for certainty. But I think that this game will always be the same puzzle, but it is always a different puzzle, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
You're always doing the same thing, but you've got different secret objectives, and the tiles are placed differently. So it's always that. Whereas Azul, at least just using the main board, it is always the same. The scoring is always the same. It's just the tiles that come out are a little differently. So basically, it's if Beez only had different placements of flowers. And I think that gives a little bit of longevity to Beez because it's going to be a little more different, a little more variability in scoring. But I think just by the nature of Azul being what it is, that is actually probably more likely to just come out repeatedly over and over again, because especially with non-gamer people, once they find a game that they like, they attach quite hard to it sometimes and want to play it over and over again, even if it's the same experience.
Yeah.
It's still something that they're totally fine with just playing over and over again. So it's tough. Longevity, Beez, but that...
Emily feels she said she feels personally attacked.
Why?
I love that. That's me. I always want to play this game.
Yeah.
Emily, talk about that, though.
I don't know.
Longevity-wise, which one do you think would last in a collection longer than the other?
Well, we played this one about,
Yeah.
I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
I love
It's
this game.
Innumerable at this point.
But this game, I do like that you have your own objectives that you're trying to do, and it is different each time, and maybe it just seems like a different experience when like even just the 2 times we played today, I was both going... I said that wrong. I was going for completely different things both times.
Yeah.
And
You
it
went
felt
all
like a
in
different
center,
game.
and then all in outside one time,
Yeah. This might surprise you guys. I'm giving this to Azul, mainly because this game, it's way more competitive. Beez is a fun experience that over time I think will dwindle. I don't think I'll want to break it out a whole bunch more, if that makes sense. I think it'll stay for at least a year, if not 2 years, just because of the nature of how I collect games, and I just hold on to games that I loved and had good experiences with.
Beez will almost always be a spatial puzzle, whereas Azul is directly competitive at times.
Yeah.
So it gives you that kind of edge.
This game is way more of a, if I've played this a bunch and another person has played this a bunch, let's break out Azul and like really get into a deep game. Like, I mean, that's what you and I do all the time, because we love this game. We have deep, like, complex thoughts about it, and when we invite friends over and they play with us for the first time, we can even turn them off of it because we will dominate. We've done that. In fact, we were teaching some friends as they were playing with us for the first time, and we just destroyed them. But we love this game, and it's because of that competitive push and pull nature of it. Whereas Beez, you're playing this game because it's cute and it's a fun experience. But I don't know if that gives it the legs that Azul has. Taking all of those into consideration, because I think that we were pretty mixed on all 3 of those. Which of these, if any, should be in your collection, if not both?
I think they can both belong in your collection. Absolutely. Okay. If you have to pick one, I have to give it to Azul. Just the nature of it. If you asked me tomorrow, hey Max, do you want to play Azul or Beez? I would pick Beez. Okay. If you asked me tomorrow. If you asked me the next day, I'd probably still pick Beez. If you asked me a week in a row, I may still pick Beez every time. And then I think that's where I start to transition back to what is the known quantity of Azul, that it is the king of those, like, simple puzzle combativeness, whatever. Yeah, push and pull, tug of war, you want this, I'm taking it kind of game. That I think if you have to pick one, Azul takes the cake for me. If you've played your copy of Azul 100 times and are over it, then absolutely try Beez out. I think it's way different enough to belong at a table. Just if you have to pick one, I give the edge to Azul.
Yeah. Emily, what do you think?
I like Azul.
Do you think Beez out? You don't need it in your collection?
I like Beez too, but sometimes I get I don't know. I get stuck and sit there and think, like,
it's hard.
How do I get this to move this B?
Yeah.
It takes me a long time, whereas a Azul I can just kind of, I don't know.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think you're both touching on something that I want to bring to the table, which is these are vastly different experiences if you really think about it. Even though it's almost the same, like, look here. You're collecting pieces just like this, and you're putting it on a board to score points in a very specific way. they're very different.
Yeah.
And I think they both belong, at least in my collection. I will say, you know what, you were going to say something first. I'm going to wait, because this last one I have, I think, is the reason I'll give one the edge over the other.
Okay.
Yeah,
ahead. I was just going to say that, you know, in Azul, you're drafting tiles and you're putting them on your board. That would be just like Beez if there were no movement, and you just had the known scoring quantities in the cards, and you were just picking nectar to put on your board in certain places.
Yeah.
You know, there's this nectar's a 2 or whatever. I mean, it's the same kind of puzzle, but there's that whole aspect of how do I reach the tile that I need or the piece that I need in Beez, which is what makes Beez different and special, and quite frankly just much more difficult. It's not a hard game, but the puzzle is definitely abstract.
Yeah.
Bring us home,
All
Doolin.
right, so I think both of these games do what they do very, very well. I think that the collection of Azul's pieces and the way you form your puzzle and like the row we haven't talked about much, and how you have to fill those, like that is complex, just like having to move around on this board is complex. But taking all that into consideration, if I think that they're similar enough, the one thing that I think Beez does better is the hidden objectives, the scoring objectives. And the way that these right here, that how they're always the same, and Beez changes every single time, and how they're different, like the jars that you're collecting, everything's thematic. You're collecting these into your jars and filling them in to make honey. And the fact that there's private objectives that always change every single time you play it gives Beez the edge for me. And I think the best way to fix that is if they ever wanted to re-release Azul, bring us some hidden objective cards where you get points for scoring certain patterns over here, or for completing certain colors. Like
it doesn't have to be hidden. Some public objectives that can be altered, that aren't just this.
That change
every
every
small
single
deck
time.
of cards that means every time you play, you flip over a deck and, you know, you take that objective.
And that would be so simple. And but what I think happened is that Azul's mechanics were groundbreaking, and they had a hit game, and that paved the way for games like Beez to think about that. And I definitely think that Dan probably took into consideration, how do I build upon the good parts of Azul, and he did a good job.
Oh yeah, it's still a great game.
Yeah, so that edges it out for me. Emily, we already pretty much know which one. Oh, no, you already
We already talked about ours.
So Azul, but
Beez good too. Beez is good.
Beez
but
is
all of us think both these games are great.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So if you have the money, both of them. If you don't have the money for both, listen to me.
Oh! Whoa! 2 beats out 1.
Yeah, it does. Let us know if you like this. This is our first, actually, technically, it's our second time trying a direct comparison, but the first one never came out.
Yeah, it's still on my computer. It also was Azul.
It was Azul versus Calico.
That's right.
Which is another great game if you ever want to check it out, and we actually already have a gameplay of that as well. But let us know if you like this format. And if you do, we will absolutely try it with other things, because I actually really like
like a this or that.
Yeah. But thanks for watching. If you're all the way to this point, we hope you have a great week. See you guys next time.
See ya.